Alright, welcome to my next video. We're going to talk about a Canon 1.4x extender. That's that little device, the little lens that goes in between your lens. Attaches like so, and your camera. But before we do that, I got a big favor. Could you please let me know how this video sounds? I set up a temporary video studio in my basement, and there are cinder block walls all over the place, so I'm a little bit worried about the sound. So I did some research on YouTube, of course, and I made these sound absorbing panels as well as covering the table with some thick cloth, and I just want to see how it sounds in the end video. So if you can leave a comment below this video, I'd appreciate it. Just on the sound, how does it sound to you? Thank you, I appreciate it. All right, let's dive into the test I did of the Canon 1.4x extender. I originally was going to test the extender on my Canon 100 to 400 lens, but I realized I'd rather use the 70 to 200 f2.8 because I was real familiar with how sharp that lens is. So I decided to take a geeky, scientific approach. I set up outdoors on a day where there was no cloud, so I knew the light on each test shot would be consistent. I set up in the direct sunlight so I'd have a high shutter speed. And then I set the camera on a very sturdy tripod and used the camera's self-timer function to eliminate any blur from motion. It's really easy to use the Canon 1.4x extender. This is the extender being put on a Canon 5D Mark III with the 70 to 200 f2.8 lens. The 1.4 times magnification turns the 70 to 200 lens into a 98 to 280 millimeter lens. Okay, we're going to head outside to the outside studio, and I'll show you how I did the lens test, the setup. So we are in the outdoor studio. I'm going to turn the camera around. You can see the setup with the camera and tripod and the lenses and the target. Here you go. There is the tripod and the target. This is a photo of the test target I used. I was really hoping to get good results with this version of the Canon 1.4x. This is the version 2. I knew that the version 1 was so old and outdated I didn't want to mess with that. And I knew that the version 3, the brand new one, relatively brand new one, is over $400 and I wanted to save money. So I decided to try the version 2 in my test. I got my extender from KEH, which is a retailer, a dedicated used camera retailer that I'll buy a lot of my used Canon gear from. I'll leave the link in the description box below. You're about to see the results of my test. I have 3 separate side-by-side photo comparisons of using the extender and not using the extender. This first photo is a side-by-side comparison showing the increased chromatic aberration you get when you add in the extender. If you look at the image on the left, you'll see the little red X in the lower right-hand corner. That's the photo that was taken with the extender. And the image on the right, without the red X, was taken with just the lens on the camera. Look how much more the red and cyan colors show up along the edges in the photo on the left. The chromatic aberration in this case was the red cyan shift that occurs when the lens elements aren't put together perfectly. The second comparison is with the printed test target photographed at the exact same size. In other words, after I photographed the target with the extender, I moved the camera in 1.4 times closer so that I could look at the 2 different lens setups and compare them without any cropping of an image to look at the targets at the same size. You can see a clear difference in the sharpness. The photo without the extender on the right is a lot sharper than the photo on the left where the extender was used. And then the third side-by-side comparison is the one that really matters because you're not going to get closer to your subject when you're using a 1.4x extender. The whole idea is to bring your subject closer to you by using the added-on lens attachment. And if you look real close, you can see that even though the image on the right is cropped in tighter by 1.4x, to make the image size the same, it's still a whole lot sharper than when we used the tele-extender and tried to bring the image in optically as opposed to cropping in the final photo. So what's the bottom line about the Canon 1.4x extender version 2? It's probably not a bad idea if you have an older camera, or if you really don't want to mess around with cropping tighter into the image after. If you want those bigger, closer subjects right out of the camera. Today's newer DSLRs and mirrorless cameras have such great resolution that it makes more sense to take the photo without the extender involved and then just crop the image a little closer afterwards. You'll have less chromatic aberrations and you'll have a sharper photograph. If you'd like to enjoy more videos about Canon equipment or alternatives, just click the subscribe button over here, or you can hit the notification bell and you'll get notified when there's another Canon video published. And thanks for watching. Please give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down before you go.